What up, y'all? It's your man, Abuamerican. This lighting's funny. Hey, I got a couple articles I want to read you guys. I'm going to read 2 articles to you guys in the next couple of days here within this week. Then next week I'll get back to some Abuamerican originals. Yeah, but I thought these were like kind of important, so I just wanted to go ahead and read them to you. I'll provide links in the description box. You can read the original article there. So the first one is called, I'm not going to read both articles. They're both, relatively long. So I'll read this one, and then in the next video, I'll read the next one. But this one is called Women's Suffrage Will End Western Civilization. And you guys know that generally I hold this opinion. But this was such a good article, giving an example from Australia, that I felt it was necessary to read. So the recent XYZ article linking, he's talking about a video from Red Ice TV highlights the pertinent issues of demographic replacement in our current Western society. The video is well presented, and it no doubt strikes a chord with many Australians. One does not have to be a barking racist to see both the validity and objective impartiality of the video. Readers of XYZ and viewers of that video may even self-righteously exhale their sighs and shake their heads at the continual demographic decimation of Western societies in the hands of globalist Marxist politicians. And I talked about this recently in that video that I made, that even if you remove Muslims from the equation, that the problems of the West will still stand. This article is going to address that. Said audience may even offer attendance to the next populist Pauline Hanson rally, thinking their undying patriotism and ethnocentrism offers genuine help other than impotent anger. But that is precisely the problem with impotent anger, isn't it? It's impotent. The growing conservative and cultural preservation movement in Australia, while positive in essence, is far too focused on specific policies and petty disputes, from racial homogeneity, I probably said that wrong, to the ludicrousness of such policies. They consistently fail, however, to tackle the bigger issue of the expansion of our Orwellian government, the corresponding welfare state and bloated public services, and the cultural Marxism that is overrunning universities. More importantly, they fail to tackle or even dare to address the root cause of these phenomena: women's suffrage. Right-wing Anglo-Australians can rail on endlessly about the need for maintaining ethnic homogeneity, and the promotion of positive Australian values, while simultaneously exalting the absolute degeneracy of their women, namely their wives and daughters, to hit the nail closer to the heart without a second thought. The same males that argue logically and coherently for the need to preserve the virtues of Western culture are often then quick to defend their civilization's destroying behaviors of Australian women, while wearing their cuckoldry with pride. It is time we come to terms with the stark reality that we are a nation of cooks, white knights, and manginas. If the rise of militant feminism in this country is a measure of the propensity of Anglo-Australian males to neuter themselves, then the fiasco of Cassie J's The Red Pill is living proof. In fact, there is often a sick alliance between genuinely racist elements of the leftist feminist movement and the low IQ'd reactionary segment of bogan white nationalists. We here at XYZ espouse the truth, even when it hurts. And today's ugly truth is that women, by their very nature, will vote in increasingly left-leaning governments and will eventually, through their voting patterns, usher in despotic states. Women are different from men, and as men, we love women for what they are. Where they fundamentally differ from us is also precisely where we place the most unassailable aspects of our infatuation towards them. It is not anti-woman to admit that Mother Nature imbued them with characteristics most suited for the survival and betterment of their immediate selves and their progeny at whatever cost. Were women not of this nature, our species would not have survived to this day. But this same biological fact is also what makes women dangerous to voters, which makes women dangerous voters. The vote for bigger government, or the party that promises to hand out the most resources in the form of tax money, is simply the political manifestation of women's collective desire to to secure resources for themselves and their progeny. The cost to civilization is of little concern in comparison. Human progress is the culmination of thousands of years of female nurturing their young and males competing fiercely for their sexual approval. The resulting carnage of this never-ending competition is the invention of fire, agriculture, the wheel, the compass, gunpowder, buildings, ships, and eventually a man on the moon. This carnage is what we call civilization. Civilizations survived insofar as men upheld it, and women nurtured the next generation of explorative, inventive, protective men, and loyal, obedient women. Every culture that ushered in women's suffrage, or universal suffrage for that matter, be it the ancient Greeks, Romans, or various matriarchal societies in southern China, ultimately met their demise at the hands of more robust civilizations where women did not have a say in the political sphere. Men's much higher than average visual spatial IQ, as well as a capacity to logically plan for the long term, is not something women are evolved to have, since it provided no reproductive advantage. Fertility is what makes a woman reproductively successful, and civilization building sorry guys, it's like really small script here. Okay, fertility is what makes a woman reproductively successful, and civilization building, intellect, ability to gather resources, invent technology, protect the tribe, is what makes a man reproductively successful. This fact may not be palpable, but it is the truth. Excuse me. Every statistical study has shown that government expenditure increased exponentially in the West ever since women were given the right to vote. With increased spending came bigger governments and unsustainable debt. It is no wonder then that most countries in the West are headed towards the fate of Greece with their skyrocketing debt and public dependence on government handouts. But the nightmare does not end there. I'm going to have to read faster, gentlemen. I was trying to read slower, like when one guy asked me to, but reading slow really jams my brain up. So excuse me if I'm going too fast. The article will be linked in the description box. In an electoral democracy, the party that campaigns against increased spending commits political suicide. Career politicians are not that stupid, however. Noble their hearts may be. Winning successive rounds of elections entails the promise of more spending to appease the enormous population of female voters. Within mere generations, even the most free and capitalistic societies become despotic and Orwellian under a socialist Big Brother state. With talks of ending encryption, increased crackdowns on public dissidents, and ludicrous fines for even the most minor transgressions of behavior, can we really say that Australia remains the lucky country? With women's suffrage in an unholy coexistence with an unremarkably average IQ of 98, can we really expect a nascent cultural backlash from the political right and the red pill community to truly amount to anything substantial? Fighting this cultural war without addressing the crucial factor of women's suffrage is like complaining about the open sewage in the house without bothering to fix the broken plumbing. And that goes back to my last video that I was talking about. But men can stop this. It was not women marching in costumes of vaginas that got them to vote. It was men. Men that wanted female approval. Men that cannot help but enjoy their own cuckolding. Men that would rather see the death of their civilization than the irrational grievances of their wives or daughters unanswered. Evil prevails due to the inaction of good men, and I dare say Australia is not a nation of good men. We are a nation of cooks, white knights, and manginas. We are a nation of Anglo men far too trigger-happy when it comes to the undeserving defense of even the most toxic and degenerate women. We are a nation where even the political right harbor fanciful delusions about female nature. We are a nation caught between dissonant forces of cultural Marxism and Victorian-era puritanical attitudes towards sex. We are unable to come to terms with biology, evolutionary psychology, and anthropology, and for this we will be punished. We will be punished by the unstoppable expansion of Islam and the implementation of Sharia law in our land. Fat chance on that one. We will be punished by the hordes of East Asians with stronger family values and higher IQs as they buy up all the land and outcompete us in our own free market economy because they certainly do not think that physics is sexist or that getting girls into STEM subjects means lowering the standards. We would be punished by an increasingly Orwellian government that will soon take away any semblance of free speech. And we will be punished because of the pathetic inaction of millions of doe-eyed, low-IQ'd men who lobotomize their minds with weekend sports coverage and cheap beer and obliterate their testosterone levels by pretending that putting up with the grossly overweight Anglo wife and her bad attitude, a wife that can barely show her face in public in Eastern Europe, mind you, is just a man's lot. Truth hurts. Be triggered, get angry, and take some frickin' action. Reclaim your Viking glory and your civilization dies. 10 minutes, 34 seconds. You know, this is a more well-worded version of my last video. That basically, if you remove Muslims from the equation, that the West is still doomed. Because we didn't bring in the transgenderism, we didn't bring in homosexuality, we didn't bring in like whorism and slutism and slut shaming and slut what is it called, slut marches, I think it's called, or something like this. Amber Rose leads them, I don't know. We didn't bring in all that stuff. You know, Muslims didn't bring that about, and it's an inevitable that if you read J.D. Unwin's Sex and Culture, it's inevitable that you will come to the conclusion and understand that any nation that is unfocused will be replaced by one that is. Or culture. And that doesn't have to be like a hostile takeover. Everybody in the West is talking like as if Islam is some hostile takeover. It's not. You know, it's just, like I said, it's an inevitability because they're probably, in every country nowadays, the most dominant secondary culture in every nation in the world. If there's a different one, let me know. Besides maybe atheists, but they're so unfocused. They're championing in the end of their civilization also, because they're really pushing hedonistic ideas also. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting article. I should stop trying to read stuff slowly, because it doesn't flow as nicely. But description will be in the link will be in the description box. Check it out. Tell me what you think. I personally hold, as you know, that this is something you should practice on an individual level, not just on a social, societal, national level. That dominance is a field that a man should not be challenged in. And if you have a woman that challenges you in that, get rid of her, man. Just get rid of her. She's going against her nature, and it's going to cause you to go against your interests as a couple, which is what my next video is going to be about. You, because of Briffelt's law, you cannot, under any circumstances, give women authority in your nation, in your relationships. You can refer back to them, you can take advice, you can take them under advisement, but you cannot take them as a source of authority. You know, you guys don't like Islam and Muslims, but the reality is the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he was right. It says, any nation that takes a woman as ruler is destroyed. And as much as you don't like Islam and you want to try and deny these facts, the reality is showing itself. You know why? It's divine revelation, man. It's prophecy, dude. Hate it as you wish, but there's reality and truth to it. And people are saying it in articles without alluding directly to Islam. Women's suffrage. It's giving them what? Authority and power. And because they create blocks, when you understand how women operate, they create consensus by way of other women, by way of social shaming, by way of male thirst. They automatically gain a significant degree of power. Something that he also said inside there, because guys are willing to, just do whatever they can, at the cost of their society to keep their woman happy. You got to be stoic, gentlemen. You can't let that stuff bite you in the chest. So, but I got a more personal story on that, but I'm not going to do it here because it's already 14 minutes and I didn't want to go this long. So this is your man, Abuamerican. Catch me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Abuamerican. I am out.